Welcome back to the Everygirl Podcast and happy last day of July. This is our monthly reset episode, our time to reflect, to integrate, to actually apply what we've been learning so that it can transform into real, actual change in your life. If you're new here, this monthly format is where I break down the biggest takeaways from all of the episodes of July, and then I will offer a little homework assignment. So you're not just consuming content, you're actually living it. And then we'll set a little intention together for next month. So you're walking into August feeling as amazing as possible. So let's talk July. Our intention was pleasure, it was having more fun. Not just the aesthetically curated, going out with friends and taking chic pictures of espresso martinis. Not just that kind of fun, although I hope you had that kind of fun too. What I mean is the soul filling, cheek hurting from laughter, dancing in the kitchen until you're spilling your iced coffee, that kind of fun. The silly inner child kind of fun. I did not want your focus this month to be on hustling or even healing. I wanted to be on playing, romanticizing, letting ourselves enjoy our lives fully, deeply, and without any guilt. For me personally, I definitely think I achieved that fun goal. I had a lot of fun and laughed a lot, which it was interesting because when I was reflecting on this month, I immediately thought that my biggest challenge this month was finding the balance. In particular, I had two really fun trips in July. The first was we spent 4th of July with my family and my future in laws. And then I had another weekend trip for one of my best and oldest friends' 30th birthdays. So both of these trips was a lot of drinking and nonstop social time and eating delicious foods, like a lot of pasta. This last trip in particular, we went to Sonoma for his 30th birthday, and I think we either ate pizza, a croissant, or cheese and bread for literally every single meal. So throughout the month, I would have these times of having so much fun, but then I would feel really depleted and disconnected from my body. And I felt like I needed a lot of recovery afterward. So I was reflecting on this of like, oh, yeah, it was hard to find the balance and keep up with feeling really good in my body when I had these times of like the most fun I had all month. But then I was like, is there really such a thing as balance to begin with? Because honestly, if I had worried a lot about getting the perfect 8 hours of sleep a night, I would have missed the late nights cracking up with my best friend. You know what I mean? So, okay, I had some times where my body felt depleted and I was disconnected. And I just don't think that that's always a bad thing. And that's coming from a wellness girl, a holistic health coach, a wellness editor. I don't think that that's always a bad thing. I think that's why we prioritize our bodies in our everyday lives so that we can feel amazing and energized and clear, even if it means it takes a few days to get back there after a vacation or a fun night out with friends. So I've come to think that balance isn't actually real, at least not in the way that we've been taught to think about it. Like, what if balance is not this scale that's leveled at 50-50, where every day you're hitting the exact right ratio of clean meals and pleasure, or rest and productivity, or social time versus self care? What if balance was actually more like a teeter totter than a scale? Some weeks, pleasure is heavier. You're traveling, you're celebrating, you're eating out, you're sleeping in. Other weeks, your body's going to crave more grounding and the teeter totter flips. You're going to crave greens, earlier bedtimes, being at home, journaling. And instead of resisting that teeter totter or feeling guilty when that sway inevitably happens, what if that's actually the definition of balance? What if we just stopped judging ourselves and feeling guilt and instead just trusted that we will naturally swing back the other way when we need to? And I actually think looking at our podcast episodes from July kind of perfectly reflect this ebb and flow. We had a lot of conversations centered around health, but also a lot that had to do with pleasure and enjoyment. In episode 195, which was titled Main Character Energy: How to Romanticize the Hell Out of Your Life, we talked about how romanticizing your life isn't about how it looks, it's about how it feels. It's about reclaiming joy from the monotony of every day and infusing your everyday life with presence, intention, pleasure. But in modern life, especially in this hustle culture, we are trained to rush, right? Everything is about efficiency. Like we're taught to grind now so that we can enjoy later, but the later never really comes. Romanticizing your life is saying, I'm not going to wait for the vacation or for the big life change or the relationship to feel excited about my life. Romanticization is how we make life feel better without needing life to look different. Maybe this is really the balance that we're looking for. Like, what if pleasure isn't the opposite of wellness, but it's the access point to it? What if the goal isn't to choose between indulgence and discipline, but to blur the line between them entirely? Romanticizing your life means that you're not waiting for a weekend trip or a major milestone to enjoy yourself. You're finding joy in your morning routine, in how you eat your lunch, and how you walk to your workout class with your favorite playlist. That is where pleasure and wellness intersect. And I would argue they kind of do have to coexist. It wouldn't really be wellness if it wasn't also pleasurable, if it wasn't giving you joy, if it didn't feel good. And it also wouldn't be pleasure if it also didn't feel good for you. You know what I mean? We've all had kind of the bad kind of pleasure, like the toxic loser that just feels so good to be around, if you know what I mean. But they are really draining us. Or maybe it's an addiction, like scrolling on your phone that is so like short term dopamine feels so good, but it makes you feel like shit in the long run. So, like, pleasure and wellness actually are not opposite sides of the spectrum. They actually are so intertwined, you cannot define one without the other. And pleasure is a wellness practice. When your nervous system feels safe and joyful, your body functions better. There is all the research in the world that shows this. Your cells listen to you. And also, when you feel good in your life, you make better decisions. So think of it this way, like when you enjoy a spontaneous ice cream cone or a night out dancing, it is not falling off track. It is the track. So, your homework assignment to take away from this episode or your action step is kind of twofold. First one, I want you to romanticize one wellness habit that you have. Take something that you usually do for your health that kind of feels like something you got to do. Like you're making a smoothie, you're going for a walk, you're doing your skincare, whatever it is, just one of your wellness practices and infuse it with pleasure. How can you make it more pleasurable? Does that mean lighting a candle, putting on music, dressing up differently for your hot girl walk? Make it feel like so beautiful and indulgent, like it's a treat rather than a chore or task that you have to do. And then number two, I want you to make one indulgent thing that you do intentional. So, kind of on the flip side, choose one thing that you might normally feel guilty about, which, by the way, I hate the term guilty pleasure. I hate it. Why are we feeling guilty about our pleasures? We should be like so freaking proud that we are chasing pleasure in life. So, of any pleasure that you have, if you're a Bravo girl like me and you're watching TV and that toxic productivity gets in of like, oh, this isn't productive. I should be doing something differently. Or maybe it's ordering dessert. Maybe it's sleeping in. Maybe it's skipping a workout to hang out with your friends. Choose something that you feel guilty about or that might feel indulgent, and instead do it on purpose, not as a slip up, but as an act of joy. And then notice how it feels different when it's not reactive, but it's chosen, it's intentional. Another one of my favorite episodes from this month was episode 194 with supermodel Hailey Clauson. This one really stuck with me because, with the theme of the month being fun, Hailey reminded us that real fun, real pleasure, real joy doesn't exist without self worth. You need to feel that safety in your own skin, that confidence that's built from the inside out. Hailey talked about growing up in this industry that was her dream, that by all means, she loved being on these shoots, she loved getting to travel, but she just couldn't enjoy it enough. She couldn't really be fully present through all of these huge, exciting milestones and jobs that she had. Her story is also such a powerful reminder that confidence isn't something that you're born with or that you achieve when you look a certain way or get to a certain place in your career. It's a decision that you have to make every day. It's something that you actively practice. And that practice is the foundation for a life filled with pleasure because it's really freaking hard to feel joyful when you're judging yourself. It's really hard to have fun when your inner critic is being so goddamn loud that you can't even hear your own intuition. So, for your action step that is inspired by Hailey, I would say interrupt the inner critic. Every time you catch yourself with a self critical thought this week, whether it's about your body, maybe it's about your productivity, your worth, I want you to pause and say to yourself, that's not the truth. And then replace it with one empowering thought instead. And you don't have to believe it 100% yet. You're just practicing shifting the narrative. So, mixed in with these episodes was a lot of episodes focused on our physical health, like episode 196, where I shared my summer detox routine, or episode 198, where Jess Kane taught us about cellular healing. These episodes, in my mind, and I hope you got this from them as well, but the purpose of these was to really shift from panic to empowerment because I know what goes on this time of year. I know that we are having our pool days. We're worried about our bodies, how they look. We're eating hot dogs or ice cream or margaritas, and we're feeling so bad about ourselves and our choices. We're going on vacations. We're going on road trips. We're going to the gas stations and we're eating a gas station hamburger. Or maybe no one should be doing that for other reasons. But I know that this is the time of year where we panic about my body doesn't look good and I'm also treating it like shit. I'm going to gain weight, whatever it is. We panic this time of year. So, what I wanted these episodes this month to do for you is to make you feel empowered in your body's ability to help you out, to be on your side, not to be the enemy. Because when you know that your body is already working to support you, you can stop spiraling after a weekend like mine where you ate pizza and cheese and crackers for every meal. You're going to stop Googling juice cleanses and punishing yourself with workouts. And instead, you start to think, my body's got me. And now I get to support her rather than punish her. Honestly, the biggest thing that I hope you take away, especially from the episode of my summer detox routine, is the important reminder that your body is not fragile. She doesn't have to be fixed. She is currently detoxing, healing, and recalibrating right now without you having to do anything. In that episode, I talked about how that knowledge, learning how the body works, how the detoxification system in the body works to constantly be working to detoxify, that knowledge was a game changer for me because it helped me stop falling victim to the wellness marketing that told me I needed to calorie restrict after a vacation or spend a lot of money on supplements and plans in order to detox. When you understand how miraculous and incredible your body's detoxification system is, I mean, you know how to support it and help it function optimally, which is great. I know I dropped a lot of tips on how to just support your detoxification system, things that I do if the detox system is getting some extra work. But you can also stop overcorrecting. You stop the all or nothing extremes. And you start trusting if you have a week of pasta and rosé and laughing until 4 a.m., your body can handle it. So, your action steps that I want you to take away from these episodes are number one, do one thing this week that supports your body without punishing it. Maybe it's like you're going for a walk without tracking your steps or your miles. Maybe it's making a meal that fits in a lot of veggies and protein, but it also is delicious. It's not a sad salad you have to force yourself to eat. Maybe it's just going to bed earlier. Maybe it's taking a break from caffeine. Think of it as an act of love. not a correction or a way to like make up for your sins. And then I also think it could be important to take some time to audit your wellness rituals. Go through your routines, your workouts, your supplements, your meals, and ask yourself, does this feel like support or like control? Or, in other words, like, is this adding to my life? Like, is this really making me feel a lot more amazing? Or is it just becoming checking a box? If you find that the answer is checking a box, if the answer is about control, if it stems from fear, fear of gaining weight, fear of not being good enough, fear of doing it wrong, see if there's one small shift that you can make to approach it with more intention, more softness, maybe, and for sure a lot more joy. Now, let's talk about August. I was thinking a lot about what you guys might need right now at this point of your lives, this part of the year, what August usually brings. And I think after a month of devoted fun and pleasure, August feels kind of like a good invitation to return to yourself. Obviously, not in a way that pulls you out of the fun that you've been creating. That's important that I hope you take into your life, but kind of as a way to anchor into it. Like pressing pause long enough to just ask, what kind of life am I building? And is the way that I'm living actually reflecting who I am becoming or the life that makes me most happy? So, the intention for August, our theme this month, is alignment. And alignment to me is about noticing the friction, the places in your life that maybe feel off or heavy or like you're constantly forcing your way through them. It's kind of stepping back and saying, what if it gets to feel better than this? What if I could actually live in a way that is simpler or even just more authentic? Because the version of you that is your best self, like we always talk about, I use this terminology a lot. I love this terminology for myself because I have a good image of my best self and it's really motivating to me. But the important part is that this best self that I'm talking about isn't the one that is endlessly trying or optimizing or improving. To me, the best self is the one who is deeply in alignment. The term best self is really misunderstood because it's not the version of you that would be most liked or who society would deem to be the most worthy. It's the most authentic version of you or the most aligned version of you. The version who notices when there's a disconnect between how things look and how things feel and chooses to course correct based on their own opinions instead of someone else's. Alignment is basically when your life starts reflecting your values. Like that's when life really starts to feel less like a performance and more like it's actually yours. So maybe this month is less about doing more and more, and it's more about just paying attention. Noticing the parts of your life that maybe feel a little too forced or a little too quiet or a little too far from who you really are, or who you want to be. Like think of the conversations that leave you really drained, the habits that feel performative, the goals that you're still chasing out of habit, not genuine desire because they light your soul on fire, but because you've been chasing them for a while or because someone else told you you should. August is a really good time to just gently question all of it, not with urgency or pressure or judgment, but just some curiosity of what kind of life am I building and do I really want to be building it? So I want you to constantly be checking in with that part of you. Even asking yourself, what are you actually craving? Not just in your body, but in your calendar, in your home, in your relationships, your day to day, your routines. What are you craving in your life? All of these honest answers, when you start really asking yourself and reflecting and seeing what comes up, the answers that you find have a really amazing way of reorienting your entire life. So, August is really just about being more you. Alignment is a quiet knowing. Think of it like listening so deeply inward that your outer life starts to rearrange itself in response. We've got some really exciting episodes coming up this month to help support that intention. I think they'll really help you feel more aligned in your relationships, your health, your routines, your career, but I will let those episodes be a surprise. I, as always, am so proud of you. Thank you for spending this monthly reset with me. If this episode resonated with you at all, please send it to your best friend, screenshot it, and tag me. Leave a review. Let me know what resonated in the Spotify comments. It means the world to me. And as always, thank you for showing up, for being here, and for doing the hard work. I will talk to you next week. I hope you enjoyed the episode. I know I sure did. Please do not forget to rate, review, and subscribe. It really makes a huge difference for our show so we can keep growing and bringing the content that you love. If you want more info, you can find us at the Everygirl Podcast on Instagram or theeverygirlpodcast.com. Talk to you next week.